talking about the 7 deadly sins of home design. The first deadly sin is not orienting your home towards north. You'd be surprised how many homes are dark and dingy because they don't actually face the right way. If you're looking at buying a lot that is undeveloped, you really need to make sure that you are going to be living in the best part of the property. Now, if your north facing orientation is towards the road, it means your living spaces are going to be towards the road, or that's the best place. So maybe it's not the best place for you to buy. Number 2, not doing enough research. It's very important that when you're designing a home to do all the research, find out what the local winds are like, everything that's on your site, rocks, overshadowing trees, how far you can actually build to your front boundary, what are the restrictions from council, what are the geotechnical restrictions on your site. If you buy a property and you haven't done enough research of the potential of that property, you're potentially building a home that is not going to work for your family. Number 3, too open plan. I'm sure there's a million people saying, how can you have a home that's too open plan? But it's true. We're working towards a time where people have done open plan to death, where you have so many homes that are cold in the winter, too hot in the summer, acoustically very poor with noises reverberating everywhere and no privacy. You've got a living room that's on top of a lounge room, on top of a kitchen, on top of a dining room. There's nowhere for you to get away from your kids that might be growing up into teenagers. We're now working back to that stage where, yes, you can have an open plan area from kitchen to dining to maybe a small living, but then have your lounge room totally cut off and have maybe a small reading nook that's cut off, and potentially between, your lounge and your dining room, have double glazed doors so you can open them when you want, but if you need to, you can close those back and cut off the acoustics and retain the heat during winter. Number 4, family dynamics. You really need to be designing your home so it actually works for your family. If you have a young family that has, might have 3 children, range between say 2 to 6 years old, and the mum's at home, the dad's out working, you need to make sure that that home is designed so the mum can always keep an eye on what's going on. Be able to have also, though, a little bit of relief from that when she needs to. So to have a kitchen in a location where she can see easily into the backyard, she can see easily onto the deck. If there's a pool in the yard, ensuring that she has good visual contact to that space. You need to be designing around that, and to also have maybe a small bedroom off to the side somewhere where it doesn't look like a bedroom, but one the children can sleep there during the day, you can easily hear them, it's not right down the other end of the house. You need to design around the way your family works. The 5th deadly sin is probably choosing inappropriate external finishes. You've got to remember that you're going to be in your home for a long time, generally 10 to 15 years. So you need to pick something that's not only popular now, but it's going to have the longevity of looking fantastic in 15 to 20 years. You don't want to be picking something that is too modern, because in 15, 20 years, it's going to look outdated. So try and pick things that look great now, but will look classic in 10 to 15 years. A great example of choosing the right external finishes might be something like oiled timber or beautifully cut sandstone. Some of these products might cost a little more, but if you spend a little bit now, you know that your building will generally resell better in the future than if you use something that's cheap and flimsy and outdated. The 6th deadly sin, and I can't overestimate this one, is actually building a building that's too big. A lot of people think, oh, we're so compacted into our existing home, we need something that's big, I'm sick of being in a shoebox. But the reality is for every square metre that you put into your design, it's an extra at least $1,000, $1,500 a square metre, and that all adds up. So don't make it too big. What you can do though is multi-functionalise spaces so that you're not just using your living room for a living space. You're also using that living space for an extra guest suite. Maybe incorporate into the design a small ensuite next to that lounge room, which can be used as an ensuite in a guest suite, or it can be just used as a general powder room for everyone on that level when you don't have guests. The 7th most deadly sin is not using standard construction methods. It's guaranteed that if you use things that are non-standard, they're going to cost you more unless you do them yourself. So do things like standard footings for your home, standard timber construction, standard timber wall framing, standard cladding, standard truss timber roofing, standard colour bond. Those all seem rather standard, but the reality is it's going to be a lot more cost effective. The tradespeople that you're working with are going to know how to use those products. They're familiar with those things. When you start throwing in different products, especially composite products, which I am totally on board with, construction, composite products in walling and roofing, all that kind of thing, but realise it will cost you a little more because the tradespeople aren't used to using them and take a little longer.